Pokemon remakes are some of the most beloved and highly anticipated games within the Pokemon franchise, with the first 3 sets of remakes delivering what feels like the best versions to play whenever you want to re-experience those regions. Unless if it's for nostalgia reasons, you rarely see or hear anybody going out of their way to play the originals just because the remakes are that good. Unless your name is Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. And look, I'm not here to hate on...
Yo, that's not true at all. I play... Actually... No. Yeah, that's crazy. I do not play Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire. I do not play that over Ruby Sapphire and Emerald. I guess it is really just a convenience thing. There's a GameCube. There's a GameCube right there somewhere. I think it's right here. I haven't played it in a year, but when that thing's hooked up, I got all my games. I literally got all my games right here. Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald are the best versions. These are the best versions of Gen 3, period. Sorry, Egan. Look at... All right, now I'm just going to flex a little bit. That's like, I could put a down payment on a house with these. All right, anyways. I disagree, buddy. I disagree.
On the fans or the people who enjoyed Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. If you had a great time and made amazing memories playing those games, I am so genuinely happy for you.
The K&J
Don't
family.
Let anyone ever take that
Izzy's
away
here.
from you.
What's
but
up?
When BDSP came out, they did next to nothing to improve upon the original Diamond and Pearl games, or even do a best of both worlds situation with integrating stuff that happened in Platinum into the game. To put it simply, these games are just not the best version.
Yeah, this is a really poignant way to like just wrap it up without being overly dramatic. BDSP just didn't also add the best Platinum features. It's just like they only did, it's like, and again, I don't even want to go into it because I'm going to get excited, but yeah, Diamond and Pearl are fine. Platinum's really good. It improves so much, even though it's like the same story, right? It's not like Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon versus Sun and Moon, like those are different stories. Black and White, Black 2, White 2, those are different stories. They could have just added Platinum features, and they didn't, and that just feels really lazy. So, yeah, that's a good way to say this. They're just they're not the best way to play it. That's the best way to say it.
And now, looking towards the future, fans, including myself, are left terrified as for what's in store when it comes to the Black and White remakes, because it's not just a main game and a third version, it's 2 games with 2 different events.
Yo, I love the passion, dude. This is my biggest issue. It's like you can't bypass White 2 and Black 2. Bro, I love this energy from this guy.
Complete one big story. And look, I understand that the Black and White remakes are probably a long way from now, hopefully. But I would like to sit down and talk about what I think the best course of action would be for the Black and White remakes. So without any further ado, let's get right into it.
Dude, this is a hype video. They're being birthed. So that's the thing for me. It's like, if we get a Paradox Unova game, right? If we get a brand new Unova experience in an alternate timeline, in an alternate dimension, right? They could bypass this issue by giving us the same story beats, or at least the same map layout as Black and White, but then also have Black 2, White 2 areas either accessible early or in post-game, so the whole Black 2 and White 2 map is open. Maybe there's even more available. We get similar beats like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, but what the biggest thing that I would just want, though, is like, I would just want like characters to change and the world to change, and I would like new Pokemon encounters and new Paradox Pokemon and whatever else, right? Like, it needs to still be different, but we still have those same beats. But if it's not a 1-for-1 Black and White remake, right? If it's not a 1-for-1 remake, I can't get mad, because I'm like, okay, it's a different experience. This is actually a different way. It's a different experience. That's the issue with remakes, right? If you're gonna make a remake like BDSP, like, and change nothing, then it's not a better way to play the game, right? If you make a remake like Heart Gold Soul Silver, it's nothing but an elevated experience. The only reason to go back to Gold and Silver is is like it's like a creative, or it's an artistic appreciation for the sprite art, right? Makes sense.
So let's start with probably the most concerning issue when it comes to the entire idea of black and white remakes. And it's all in the title of itself. Black and white remakes, not black to white 2 remakes. With the whole idea of black and white remakes, this assumes that we're only going to be getting stuff that happened in the first set of games and not the sequels, which, as I'm sure you can tell, is a no-go. We can't have that happen. We need to have black 2 and white 2 to come after black and white. They complete each other. So now that we've addressed the biggest issue,
this guy gets it.
Here with these remakes, it's time to ask, how do we go about fixing this? And I'm gonna say this right now, my ideas are not the most faithful ways of readapting the black and white games, but as I'm sure we all saw with BDSP, we don't want 100% faithful. So have faith in me, and let's get into this. The first thing we're going to be talking about is the map of Unova. As I'm sure we're all aware, in Black 2 and White 2, the map got expanded, not only adding in brand new cities and
Ooh, dude, that little fuse was really cool. Hold on.
in Black 2 and White 2, the map got expanded, not only
Ooh, that was cool. I don't think I even noticed they updated the map a little bit, because you can see Lentimus Town, you can see Reversal Mountain, the little. Okay, that's cool. That's what I'm saying, dude. I've said it before. You go north of here, you go northwest. That's upstate New York, right? That's like, that could be the border of Niagara Falls, right? Isn't Chicago in that direction too? Like, they could just like zoom the map out a little bit, zoom the Unova map out a little bit, and then add even more locations.
Adding in brand new cities and towns to explore, but also filling in the old towns and giving them new places to explore as well. For example, in Castelia City, there's a whole sewer system where you can find a bunch of new Pokemon way earlier on than you could in the original games. And it's for that reason alone that these remakes have to have the Black 2 and White 2 map. And as for the newer towns and cities, you can handle them with one of two ways. You can either fully lock them behind post-game, or you can have them unlocked for the whole game, but the gyms won't be appearing until post-game. You can have some dialogue like, hey, we're currently building gyms here, they're not done, but they're coming soon. And then, you come back after you beat the Elite Four, and then there they are to do in the post-game. I think either or ways of handling the new towns is perfect for this. Instead,
yeah, so my idea for that, right, that's another aspect. There's technically, I think, 10, maybe 11 badges you can get, but like only like 10 physical gyms. So what you could do is either have a couple gyms accessible in post-game, which is kind of fun. That's like what we did in Blueberry Academy. We went to another Elite Four, so that's kind of fun. I didn't even think of that, but you could also just include access to the Blueberry Academy. That would also be really cool. Like as post-game for a Unova game. But also what they could do is just like how we have an open world experience in Scarlet and Violet. They should let us, if it's an open world game, let us choose which gym badges we want. That is really cool. And then also give like showcase and track which gym badges we get in order of the way we get them, right? You get your little gym badge, right? Remember, Gary has, Ash has all of it, I think Gary has like a case of badges, and you see in which order he gets the badges, and some of them don't even exist in Kanto, but like let us, like if we do the first 3 gyms, then that's normal, but then the 4th badge is Drayden's gym. Let Drayden's gym be the 4th badge. Gym 5 is Roxy and the poison badge. Let that be that, right? But if you do that in reverse order, or if you do Roxy last as the 8th gym leader, like track that, and then forever you have like a little log of how you played the game, right? How you had your experience. Like I never liked how in Kanto, right? If you get Sabrina's badge, or what would it be, like Koga's badge, right? For the 4th, right, as your 4th badge, it still goes to like the 6th slot when it should actually be your 4th badge, right? That's a little detail, but I would love that.
On the topic of post-game, that is going to be the exact method in which we're going to take to solve the whole issue with what do we do with the story and events of Black 2 and White 2. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking the 3 major events that happen within the Black 2 and White 2 story and putting it all into something basically equivalent to a Delta episode. As for the explanation to why I'm going about doing it this way, let me explain. If we take a look at the story and events of Black and White and compare them to Black 2 and White 2, the events in Black and White heavily outweigh the events that happen in Black 2 and White 2. I want you to think about it. Around and about every corner, Team Plasma was doing something that you had to stop or deal with overall. For God's sakes, they introduced themselves in the first new town that you made your way into, claiming their mark and stating, "We are Team Plasma and we would like to liberate Pokemon." They made their mark from the get-go and they've been involved with the story ever since that first moment. In Black 2 and White 2, sure, they're around and about some places, but they don't do anything significant until Driftvale City, where you go and fight them on the boat with Sharon and Hugh. And then the next big thing is in Opelucid City, where they entirely bomb the place with ice, which then afterwards, you get on the ship, you fight the whole entire organization, basically, find Getsis, and comes in, fight him, and then the story is over. It's
Damn, that's true.
due to the lack thereof events in Black 2 and White 2 that I think we could condense it down into something like a Kyurem episode. Because let's be honest, it's gonna be so counterproductive for Game Freak to make a Black and White remake and then followed by, years later, a Black 2 White 2 remake. That's just not productive in any single way, shape, and form. And as for the
Yeah, that's the biggest thing for me. I'm like, if they're going to remake both games, or if they're going to port both games, or if they're going to give us a faithful remake of both games, it's got to be in pretty close proximity, right? They're going to have to hit us with a 1-2 punch. It's going to have to be like, and it's too late for that. Let's say on Pokemon Day, they say, all right, in Holiday, you're getting the Black and White remake, and then in January, you're getting Black 2 White remake, and then they go, oh, but then the next Christmas, that's when you get the Black 3 game. And it's like, all right, so that's 2 years of Unova hype for really just one major payoff. People would just wait until the final game or whatever, right? I feel like that's awful. And then what? Gen 6 is in, or Gen 6, Gen 10 is delayed another year. Like, it doesn't make sense. I really think the one game that they're going to put out is going to be a whole new experience, and that's Paradox Unova.
post-game events, we are going to take the post-game from Black 2 and White 2. Hello, this is future Egan Media.
What?
Here. I had entirely forgot to think of the idea that you could include the Black and White and Black 2 and White 2 post-game as the main post-game along with the story of Black 2, White 2.
Wait, what? I'm so confused.
So I'm throwing that in there as well so I don't get any comments in the comment section saying, well, what about fighting against Pokemon? Yeah, I know.
Oh, the post-game of both games in post-game. Yeah, that's true. That would be pretty good. I gotta actually play through Black and White at some point soon. I'm like I keep stalling on my playthrough.
No, it's included. Moving on. And
dude, End's Pokemon could be Paradox Pokemon.
Make that the main post game for these remakes. So the Pokemon World Tournament and all the rest of the exploration stuff, the legendaries, and everything else you can possibly imagine will also be part of the post game so that we get the entire full package. The TLDR, make Black 2 and White 2 and its post game the post game for the remakes. So now that we've basically gotten the idea down that we're just going to be getting a combo of Black and White and Black 2 White 2 in one video game, that makes two. There are a couple of things that we do have to clarify and talk about, considering that there are some characters or plot points or just things overall in the game that we need to go over so that they don't overlap or we just...
Wobox Whisperer. They say Gen 10 is 100% Georgia, South Carolina, and Florida region. Lumio's post, the Lumio's post, Zach from the Lumio's post. That he made an entire region based on that, and we recorded it on Hidden Power and have not actually published it yet, but you'll probably get it in the next couple weeks. But that's crazy. I don't recognize your username, but that's crazy if you just like guessed that, because that's literally what his region is based on.
Just entirely forget about them, because we want to get as much as we possibly can with these games and potentially add in some more stuff. So let's get into that. Now let's start with one of the more fun topics. Let's talk about the playable characters. As I'm sure we're all aware, there were 4 sets of playable characters for the overall Black and White franchise. There was Hilga and Hilbert, and then Nate and Rosa. My suggestion is just to make all 4 of these characters options to select from the get-go. On top of that, we're going to be giving them the rest of the skin.
No, I disagree. I do not. No. I disagree. Those characters should be like post-game rivals or post-game like fights. Each of them are like each of them have captured a legendary of some sort, right? Maybe one of them has all of the swords of justice or something, right? Or one of them has one of the genies, or one of them has what, right? Like they should be like battling Red or Cynthia, right? That's what they should be. I don't want to choose them. They should give us a brand new. Again, this guy's not going off a Paradox Unova game, but for my region, I want a third experience in Unova, and I think those characters should be post-game fights or mentors or something, right? One of them should be the champion. That is the kind of progression that I want to see, right?
In color options like how they did in BDSP and Let's Go.
Yeah, Carl Blitz, what's up? In Masters EX, Nate and Rosa have Keldeo and Meloetta. That's exactly what that should be.
Pikachu and Eevee. And also, like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee and BDSP, we're going to give them specific and set customizable outfits for them to wear. That was one thing that I really appreciated seeing within those games, especially considering that within the original games that those games were based on, that was just not an option. Customizing my character is something that I look forward to with every single Pokemon game. And I'm not even going to lie, I was heavily disappointed to see the lack of customization options with Scarlet and Violet. So I'm looking fully forward to this one. Okay.
Honestly, yeah, that was a pretty good feature of BDSP. If we had to be charitable and nice and neutral, yeah, I think the character customization, like the full outfits that you could choose, obviously you want full control, but I do kind of like that. I do like that, right? Because you couldn't change your outfits. Could you? I don't think you could change your outfits in Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, but you could do that in BDSP, which was kind of nice.
Now let's talk about how these games should look. In terms of the art style and overall design of the world and characters, I think it would be amazing if we got something akin to a Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee style. Now, I just want to clarify, I'm only talking about visuals. I'm not talking about play style. I do not want a Let's Go Unova game at all. I only would like if these games looked like Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee. And if you're a bit hesitant on that idea, let me offer you 2 things. One, Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee are the best looking Pokemon games on the Nintendo Switch.
All right, pause. I do agree that they're super polished. Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee is super polished. But I do not think the art style hands itself very well to a Unova remake. I think the art style fits Kanto for how low stakes the plot and the story is, but Unova is pretty dark, right? Even the jump from Gen 4, the color palette of Gen 4, the engine of Gen 4, the jump from that to Gen 5, that was even already very dark and made Gen 5 feel foreign to the Pokemon franchise. I think, yes, I would love the art style to be polished. It was polished, but like it was so vibrant. I feel like it would make Gen 5 feel kind of like a fluffy region, which Gen 5 is beautiful, but I do think it needs a little bit of grit.
Everything else has an issue. While the art style and overall artistic direction for Pokemon Legends Arceus is absolutely beautiful and works perfect for the games, it would not translate well for modern remakes. And while Pokemon Sword and Shield had
Sword and Shield would be really good. It's insane going back to Gen 8 and realizing how beautiful it is. At least the art direction. I think the execution is the issue. But like, man, Gen 8 really is beautiful.
Beautiful towns and cities, they overall started.
Bro, this would look like Castelia would be incredible.
To go into this realistic art style that lost some Pokemon charm. And while the character models and Pokemon models in Scarlet and Violet look absolutely beautiful and should continue to stay at that high level of quality, the overall world of Scarlet and Violet loses all Pokemon charm as it continues to delve into that realistic art style that started within Sword and Shield. But if we take a look at Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, those games look gorgeous.
Bro, but they look gorgeous, but it's a top-down fixed perspective. That's not how I want to play Unova. It is gorgeous, right? Shoot, yeah. I feel like BDSP, if BDSP was in the Let's Go engine, that would be incredible. I think that would be so good. Right? BDSP, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, the Gen 4 remakes, if they were made in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee style, that would be really pretty. Even a Johto remake in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee style would be really nice, but not Unova.
And they perfectly fit the art style of Pokemon as well. Just close your eyes for 1 second and imagine Castelia City in the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee art style. Now tell me that wouldn't look sick. And the second thing that I'm going to show you all is this piece of fan art made by this artist here.
Oh man, I thought they were going to say that it's like official art. That's really cool. That's just like basic art, but like to see our Gen 9 engine character would be so sick. Man, Muna even looks good there. I don't like Muna, but that looks cool.
I found this on Twitter just randomly scrolling, and this looks very much so similar to the Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee arts.
Oh, I see what they're saying. Yeah, it does look pretty similar. Bro, that's the other thing. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of like not getting back in the day, right? Here we go. Grandpa Dusty. Back in my day, every time we get a new game, we would also get a new set of Sugimori art for the decks. Right? That used to be so good. And we get that now with Gen 8, Gen 9, we get every new Pokemon gets new whatever. But like I think the last time a remake got new art, a full decks of new art, was I think it was Gen 4. I think the Gen 2 Pokemon got updated to the Gen 4 art style. And I'm talking about the key art. I'm talking about the Sugimori style key art. In Legends Arceus, the starters did get new key art, which was cool. But bro, like, I guess in Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, the characters got to revamp too. But I want to see more Sugimori art. Yeah, I want to.
Style, and I absolutely love
for like Gen 5 remakes, right? Like we get brand new like art for the Gen 5 remakes.
Of how this looks. If we had a whole game that looked like this, I think that would be perfect.
That would be perfect, dude. But like, that would be perfect. But I'm talking to this guy as if like we're on a voice call. That would be perfect, but the games aren't gonna look like the key art. The games are gonna look like the in-game engine. This key art's great.
The next topic we're going to be talking about is the Pokedex. Now, there were a couple of ways that I debated handling the Pokedex for these remakes, but I think the best way to go about it is to just make it like how it was in the Black 2, White 2 games, where you have the new Unovan Pokemon and the old Unovan Pokemon from the get-go. The reason why I say this is because I can only imagine how many players would instantly swap out some team members the moment they got access to all the older Pokemon. And on top of that, we can include some of the regional forms and evolutions that weren't existent in the original Gen 5 games.
Yes.
So a lot of the Galarian forms, the Hisui forms, and even some new evolutions like Basculegion or King.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it'd be great to have access to all of these Pokemon, but I also think they could add in a lot of non-Unovan Pokemon, right? Pokemon from even Gen 6, 7, 8, and 9 into this new Unova region. They could also do that.
Gambit. And some of these new forms or overall Pokemon is going to lead us exactly into one of our next topics, and that is going to be the inclusion or mentioning of Blueberry Academy. For those of you who don't know, in the newest Pokemon Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Indigo Disc, the main setting actually takes place within the Unova region in a brand new area called the Blueberry Academy. Now, it's never stated where exactly in Unova the Blueberry Academy exists, whether it's to the south of it or to the east of it, but regardless, we know that the Blueberry Academy exists somewhere in the Unova region, not only because it's confirmed and stated a bunch of times within the DLC, but because there are specific characters that are specifically stated to be from Unova.
Yeah, 100%. It's gonna be so exciting to interact with these characters with their relatives in the Unova region, right? Or maybe like Crispin is the first fire type starter, because that's so I'm understanding the Blueberry Academy in the Indigo Disc. It's like the Elite Four, but it's like a club, right? Because they're kids. It's like a school club pretending to be. They're like the best trainers at the school. Whereas like they're not the Elite Four of the region. You know what I'm saying? Like, so they might maybe in mainland Unova actually just be like gym leaders, possibly. And I could see Crispin being like the first gym leader. Oh. That's not it. Where were we at?
A whole game, but the gyms won't be appearing until Blueberry Academy. Gym leaders, I still think it would be cool to have overall the Blueberry Academy mentioned or name dropped somewhere within the game. Something simple like, hey, I hear they're making a brand new school off the coast of Unova. I think they're going to call it something like the Blueberry Academy. And we have now reached the final topic, and that is going to be the involvement of Hugh and Colress. Now, as I'm sure we're all aware, Hugh and Colress just did not exist at all within the original Black and White games and only existed within Black 2 and White 2. So fitting them in, especially with the limiters that we have on the Black 2, White 2 story, with it primarily being post-game, it's going to be a little difficult, but I got places for them to both fit in. Okay. Starting off with Colress, due to the fact that these remakes will have the Black 2, White 2 map from the get.
So again, in my Paradox Unova vision of a Unova game that takes place in a parallel universe, right? I imagine Colress is going to be very heavily tied into explaining to the character what the heck the region is, and explaining how like there's other universes, other timelines, right, that are parallel to ours, and that the Pokemon that exist in this Unova game, to explain why, let's say, like the Volcarona paradox, Colress will explain in another universe or in another timeline, there's another Volcarona that is not Iron Moth, but it's actually whatever the past paradox Volcarona is. Something like that. I feel like he's going to be heavily tied in that story, the paradox story.
We're gonna write in some plot reasoning to have the player go down into the Castelia sewer systems, check it out, do whatever, and down there you're going to meet Colress. I thought this would be nice because in the Black 2 White 2 games, this is exactly where you get introduced to Colress for the first time. And then once you're all done with the sewer system, you can go back up, do the gym stuff, deal with Team Plasma, and then as you're leaving Castelia City, you're gonna bump into him one more time. And the conversation is basically gonna be the same thing as it was in the original Black 2 White 2 games, except at the end of it, he's gonna say something along the lines of, "You're not gonna see me for a while. I will be working, but you won't see me for a while." Just basically alluding that he'll be back. So that way we foreshadow him for coming back in the post game. Now moving on to Hugh, this one is going to be a little bit more tricky. Considering that Hugh was your main rival in the Black 2 White 2 games, and considering that we're going to have to take his role and importance down to maybe like a 3, this is going to be a little bit of a butcherization for his character, but we're still going to try and fit him in as appropriately as we can. So here's how it's going to go. After you beat the main game, you're going to wake up in your house and go downstairs and be greeted with Professor Juniper. She's going to tell you that there's 3 new gyms for you to take on all throughout the Unova region, but she's going to specifically take you to one in Aspertia City because there's a surprise waiting for you. Once you get in Aspertia City and take on the gym, you're going to realize that your old rival Sharon is now the new gym leader. You guys are going to have a nice and heartwarming conversation.
He is the gym leader,
basically,
isn't he?
Sharon
No,
just saying, "I'm so happy I found my place within this region."
Isn't he? Yeah,
After that, Sharon's going to direct you in the direction of the next gym, which is going to be in Burbank City. And as you're making your way there, you're passing through Flockacy, you notice something happening in the ranch. That is where you meet Hugh, as he is trying to stop Neo Team Plasma from stealing more Pokemon. After that, Hugh properly introduces himself and basically says, I'm trying to stop Neo Team Plasma so that I can get my sister's Purloin back. After that, you guys go throughout the whole region doing little bits and pieces here and there until you guys make your way all the way to Driftveil City, where you fight everybody on the ship. And then after that, you continue all the way onto Opalucid, where they bomb the place with ice. You get on the ship again, and then you find that Hugh's little sister's Purloin has evolved into a Liepard, so on and so forth, and the rest of Hugh's character arc.
See, this is getting this confuses me, because I'm down with bending. I'm down with like reinterpreting or bending like whatever the reality of the game is, but to just blend the two stories together doesn't feel great. That doesn't feel natural. That doesn't feel like, assuming this is the same timeline. I don't know if I like that. I don't like both stories happening in congruence at the same time, right? One is very clearly a sequel to the other.
Is just going to play out how it did within the Black 2 White 2 games. I know that it's not the best way to handle Hugh, especially considering everything that we're already changing, but taking a look at Hugh's character, he feels and comes off more so as somebody who has his own personal goal rather than a person who's a proper rival for you. So I think how I handled it in this video works just fine enough.
Overall, I think there's definitely some good ideas in there. I don't totally agree. Also, we have different premises. Yeah, the Gen 5 remakes, though, I really think a paradox, an alternate universe, that makes the most sense. Kuro, if you're still here, we were, I mentioned it earlier. Kuro and I were talking about this, and it makes so much sense. I can see it so clearly in my mind. I can see a Unova region that is altered, right? It's the same Unova region in a different timeline, so different things have transpired, right? Like Anvil Town is cyberpunk. Aspertia City is industrial city, right? The Nature Preserve is a safari zone, right? Lentimus Town is an active volcano or something, right? Humalau City is, I don't know. Maybe it's just an island and nothing was actually developed there. Maybe that's a little bit boring because I would just remove content. But I would like to see all of these areas, just parallel versions of these areas.